Yo, this is Fling, and these are the trends that you must know if you're continuing to play Battle Royale drafts for the rest of the 2024 NFL season. All right, this is over at fantasyfling.net. These are some trends that I've identified in the Battle Royale drafts. So if you're watching this, I'm guessing you play the Battle Royale drafts on Underdog Fantasy. If you have not, this is a DFS draft. It's about 48,000 entries. It pays out $40K to first. So there's 6 players in one draft. So you're going against 5 other people. You're drafting 6 roster spots. I love them because it's pretty cheap to enter for a chance at big money. $7 entry fee for a chance to win $40K. Takes about 5 minutes. So you're drafting 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex spot. So speaking of that flex spot, we are going to get in the trends that can help you win this draft. So pretty interesting. When I looked back at the 2023 season, most of the flex spots that were targeted were running back. Actually, 2/3 of the winning lineups targeted running back in the flex. So it's even higher this season. It's actually quite a bit higher. Right now, it's currently 88%. 8 out of 9 weeks of the Battle Royale season have targeted running back in the flex. So that is something that is kind of staggering. And when you look at the numbers of 2024 so far, running backs have just dominated compared to wide receivers. A lot of that has been injuries. The Rashee Rices and the Nico Collins and the Brandon Ayuk's. CeeDee Lamb had a slow start to the year. It's been a little. AJ Brown's been hurt. It's been obviously injury related, camp holdout related with some of these guys, and running backs have just really done very well. The Saquon Barkleys, the Derrick Henrys, Jahmyr Gibbs has had games where he's popped off. Joe Mixon with Houston has been on a tear. So running back is what you want to continue to target in the flex. I don't really think that's going to regress too much to what we saw to 2023 so far. It's just looking like a running back here. So that's something I'm going to continue to target in most of the drafts that we do. Now, there are the occasions, right, where you'll see, maybe you want to force that double stack. You got Brian Thomas, like this draft, for example. So I believe this draft took Jamar Chase first, and then planned that Joe Burrow stack, and got Brian Thomas later. And then in the last round, there was T. Higgins for that double stack. So just ended up working out. So it was Joe Burrow plus 2. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins went wide receiver in the flex. This is the only week that wide receiver was in the flex. So I think if it lines up with the way you see the game playing out, certainly, in this scenario, go wide receiver. But most weeks, or most drafts, if I'm doing 10 drafts, I'm definitely going to make sure, 8, 9 times I have running back in the flex. Now, first pick trends. This is something that in 2023, 2/3 of the time, about 66% of the time, we saw a wide receiver with the first pick. Now, as you can imagine, how we saw the shift to running back this year, it's not as big as it was last year, getting that wide receiver with your first pick. Right. I mean, there's 9 weeks, and right now it's 55% wide receiver with the first pick, 45% running back with the first pick. So, I think it's pretty close. And I think the main takeaway, it's almost 50-50. So go running back or wide receiver with your first pick. Obviously, you want to think about, the type of roster that you're constructing. Do I take Jamar Chase and I'm going to come back and get Joe Burrow later? Or, just would I rather take Derrick Henry right here over Jamar Chase? That's something you need to think about. But I'm taking running back or wide receiver with my first pick. Because no tight end or QB went the first overall pick. It was either running back or wide receiver, and it was almost 50-50. Now, speaking of quarterback, waiting on the quarterback, there has not been a single Battle Royale winner this year that has taken a quarterback in the first 2 picks, and only 1 team out of 9 took one in the 3rd round. So 88% of the time, the Battle Royale winner waited until the fourth round or later to draft a quarterback. This is information that I looked at and was pretty shocking to me. It's something that, I think is measurable, something that, we definitely want to be cognizant of and really try to wait on a quarterback. If you can wait to the third round or later, preferably the fourth round or later, it really sets up the rest of your team. And, you can still get quarterbacks that can have great games. This lineup, for example, started with Amon-Ra, St. Brown, A.J. Brown, and Joe Mixon, the first three picks. He got Jalen Hurts with the fourth pick. So waiting on a quarterback has definitely been the way. Stacking. So having correlation in your lineup is something that I want to shoot for every single week. I do think you do not always have to stack the quarterback with one of the pass catchers, specifically running quarterbacks. Now, the two times that we have not seen a quarterback stacked with one of the pass catchers was week 1. And it was Anthony Richardson with the Joe Mixon bringback. So there was correlation. It did count as a correlated game stack, but it was not a QB with his pass catcher. He's a running quarterback. The second time, Lamar Jackson was completely naked in week 3. So you will see there's no Lamar stack here. And there's also no secondary stack of any sort. So this was the only week 3, where there was no correlation at all. 8 out of 9 weeks, there was correlation. Only 33% of the winning lineups had a secondary stack, though. That's a little bit down from from 2023 when it was about 40%. But I mean, hey, it's only 9 weeks through the season, so we'll see where that ends up finishing overall. I'll say this: secondary stacks are nice when they line up. If you don't have your quarterback stacked with one of his pass catchers, so I'm trying to put some correlation in the lineup, so I want a secondary stack. An example here would be this lineup above with Jahmyr Gibbs and Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? That's a secondary stack. That's one of the teams that had one. And obviously, if you can stack a QB with his pass catcher, that is the best way to do it, as 7 out of the 8 teams had a QB stacked with one of the pass catchers. And then last, kind of average winning score, not super high. It's been a lower scoring year. I think obviously when the scores are high, you're going to have more correlation. You're going to have that Joe Burrow plus, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins stack. Like, that's going to obviously correlate for a higher score because that game is going off, right? But overall, the average is 142. It's about 23 points per roster spot. So, a little on the lower side. We'll see where that ends up at the end of the year. But I think, bringing it all together, one thing obviously want to talk about is, some of the key points. First pick, you want to take a running back or wide receiver with your first pick. Don't even think about quarterback or tight end. It's best if you wait on a quarterback. In fact, 4th round or later was the best spot, but you could definitely do it in the 3rd round. You want a running back in the flex. 88% of the time it was running back in the flex. So that's something I want to continue to target. And those are your midseason trends for the Battle Royale draft. If you like this kind of breakdown, let me know. Hit that like button. Let me know how you've been attacking these drafts. If you're going to do anything different, make sure to subscribe to the channel because I got a lot more Underdog Fantasy content coming your way. We will see you.